Hello and welcome to the third section of this tutorial, Learn to Route, Test and Create Dynamic Content. In this section, we'll see client-side routing, we'll do unit test with Eva, we'll add friends to the group, we'll also reorder friends and share images. In this tutorial, we'll learn about client-side routing and we'll first implement a JavaScript router, which is basically our client-side router, and based on the dynamic different routes, we'll display some dynamic content. In our last section, created the layout of our app with a sidebar and a chat window where we can see our messages and we can send messages. And the sidebar displays a list of friends that we can choose from. So let's go ahead and implement the router. So we have created class router and the constructor takes in two parameters, routes and default route. So routes is an array of valid routes in our app and default route is the main route, basically the home page. So in the constructor we are just setting the member variables and we are pushing the default route as a part of our routes array. We are storing a last route which is basically the window location and the hash part of it. So we are trimming off the first character and we are getting just the string after the hash. So we'll after hash, if we have slash support, we'll get the slash support as the last route, and this is what our array will also define. And we have a callbacks array and this will be used to store all the registered callback methods for the route change, and we have attached an event on window for hash change. So whenever the hash part of the URL changes, this event is fired from the window object and we'll register a event callback on route change. So we'll go ahead and write this method on route change. So we are getting the current route by window.location and we are checking if the current route is a valid route in the system. If it is not a valid route, then we are going back to the last route that we had saved. And if it is a valid route and it is different from the last route, then we'll fire the callback, and in the callback we'll pass the current route and the last route, and then we'll also set the last route as the current route because this is a valid change. So let's go ahead and write the subscribe and unsubscribe methods so that consumers can subscribe to the router event. So consumers of this router module basically. So in the subscribe function, we are just checking if this function is not present in the callbacks array, then we are pushing it. So in this unsubscribe function, we are getting the index, and if this callback function is present, then we'll splice it. So that's all for our router logic. Let's go ahead and consume this in our app. So we have imported router and then we'll initialize it. So as a part of the constructor, we need to provide a list of valid routes, and we are not providing any default route because we had the default route set as slash by default. Now we need to attach a callback function router logic so that the route changes can be detected. So we'll be writing a onRoute change method in the BuzzApp element. We are attaching it as a callback for the route change. So as a part of this method, we'll be taking decisions based on the new route and the old route. So if the new route is support, then we'll render support. We'll be writing this function. And if the new route is slash, then we'll be showing the sidebar and showing chat. So we'll be hiding this sidebar and chat in the render support method. So let's go ahead and write the render support method. We are hiding the sidebar and hiding the chat. And then we are setting the inner HTML of the right div where we are displaying our chat window as the support content. So we'll be displaying some support information here. And now we need to write show sidebar, show chat, hide sidebar and hide chat. So as a part of these functions, hide sidebar, we are storing the reference of the sidebar element in the this.sidebar node, and then we are removing it. And in the show sidebar method, we are checking if this member is present, then we are appending the same thing to the DOM so that we don't have to take care of the re-rendering everything. And in hide chat, Similarly, we are keeping a reference of the chat window and we are removing it. And in the show chat, we do a little extra by setting the inner HTML as empty because we are overriding the inner HTML here in the render support method. Now, because we are removing and attaching the sidebar and the chat windows again and they are custom components, the connected callbacks method will be called again. So we need to take care of the rendering there. So we'll go to our my sidebar and what we'll do is we'll do if this dot has child nodes, then only we'll render. If this doesn't have child node, then only we'll render. So we'll be doing this for the chat also. And now we need a UI where we can change the routes. So we'll be implementing a drop down in our nav bar. So for that, we are changing the template of our nav bar to include a drop down menu, and in the drop down menu we have by default support and about. So in the render method we need to attach events to this drop down menu to show it and hide it. We are selecting the drop down menu and we are selecting the drop right. On the drop right we are attaching an event on mouse over to show it, and on mouse out we are removing the show class to hide it. So that's basically it, and just need a small tweak to show the drop down menu. So we are just setting the position of the drop down menu in the nav bar. Also in our index.html our default route is not set and we'll set it as /. That's cool. Let's go ahead and check it out. As you can see, we have got a drop down menu here, and now let's go to support and we got the support window here. If we click here, it will go back to the default route and we got our chat and the sidebar again. So if we go to about, nothing happens because we don't have anything on the about. And if we go to support, it displays support.